make everyone's Tuesday a little bit better, today CD Projekt did something pretty special. As a bit of a surprise, at around 11:30 a.m. earlier today, they just announced, hey, we're gonna do a Night City Wire special edition. And in this, they showed off some new gameplay of Cyberpunk 2077 on both the Xbox One X as well as the Xbox Series X. So we got our first look at gameplay of this game on consoles, that being the current gen as well as the next gen, or I guess technically now, current gen and last gen. We got about 10 minutes of gameplay in total. It looked phenomenal. If you're just interested in seeing the new gameplay, don't really care about my observations or some of the other things said during this segment, there are timestamps down below. But otherwise, there were some interesting things shown during the gameplay, some interesting things to pick out. I'll have a few comparisons for you also, but even some interesting things said. So first and foremost, this seems to be pretty definitive proof that there are no more delays coming. The justification CD Projekt gave for the most recent delay was that they were having some issues with current gen consoles, that being the Xbox One as well as the PS4. But during this special Night City Wire, they do mention how when it launches, it will work on both current and next gen consoles. And we get a solid restatement of that December 10th release date for current gen. So now, of course, technically they've said things like no more delays are coming, but considering they just literally showed us gameplay on current gen, I have to imagine we are now in the clear, at least more so in the clear than we ever have been before. As far as the gameplay itself, this is described as being part of the automatic love quest. V is hunting down a person by any means necessary. The footage is edited in a couple of ways. They mention how they edited out certain parts to avoid spoilers, but even further, we do get swapping back and forth between the current gen and next gen console. So from the Xbox One X to the Xbox Series X, it'll cut back and forth all throughout. Although an important note on this, we heard from the recent investor call how more or less the way it's running on next gen consoles right now is through emulation, because the next gen could emulate the current gen. So you still get better performance because there is better hardware, but this is not the next gen patched version. They reiterate here that's coming in 2020, which should have more features and look even better than this next gen version does. But that won't be available this year, and of course not on release date. Another big consideration for many of you is this gameplay is not on the Xbox One, it's on the Xbox One X. So performance and even visuals could see differences if you just have the standard on-release Xbox One and not the souped-up version with the Xbox One X. And of course, the same logic applies to the PS4 and PS4 Pro. So as far as comparisons go, and how the Xbox One X footage compared to the Series X footage, which in turn kind of compares to the PC footage we've been seeing for a while now, one of the biggest and most immediate takeaways was just how good this game looks on consoles. Whether it was on the One X or the Series X, there was next to no noticeable or hugely distinguishable difference. The clearest shot we had for comparison was this one right in front of the S Shop. If you look at it on the Xbox One X versus the Series X, it's pretty close. You can't get an exact comparison because there's a slight jump in time, and although maybe you could pick out a few details on this, large in part, I feel like they look pretty similar. And actually, this is a nice shot because we also just saw this on the PC version from that German gameplay preview. Although do note, this PC version one was seemingly at a lower bitrate overall. You can definitely see compared to the Xboxes, the PC version, even with the lower bitrate, has way better reflections, definitely taking advantage of ray tracing, and that is on full display here. But that's definitely not to say that the Series X didn't have big improvements over the One X, as we could see huge FPS differences during nearly all of the combat scenes, but this shooting scene in particular on the One X, it definitely looked like there were some frame drops happening in the background. Nothing super horrible, the game was still very playable, but I wouldn't be shocked if it dropped to 25 or even 20 FPS at some points, at least for a brief moment. In particular, when the achievement pops up or some of the explosions are going off, you can see some not so great performance. One of the other suspicious parts that popped up was this driving scene. When they're playing on the Series X, they're driving at full speed, but for one reason or another, on the One X, they definitely are taking things quite a bit slower. Now that could be a coincidence, but it without a doubt seems like if you play Cyberpunk 2077 on current gen, you will experience frame drops. And the thing that actually makes this more concerning to me is that this is in the preview. Like, I understand CD Projekt probably wants to be upfront and open if this is going to be a reality of the game, but I mean, there was only a couple of scenes of combat shown through the whole thing, and if one of them has pretty bad frame drops, how often are they going to be in the real game? This is meant to be promotional material shown to the masses and making the game look pretty good. With that said, it does look phenomenal, it just might look phenomenal at 20 FPS some of the times. And one of the better comparisons we could see between the Series X, the updated console, and PC with ray tracing is this one during the mock segment. Both of these being screenshots of gameplay, one from Night City Wire 3, one from this most recent gameplay, and you could definitely see the ray tracing effects in the background. The lighting on PC here is just better. in particular in the way it illuminates that character. Now granted, that was for a trailer, so that's another instance where they're kind of showcasing the game in the best possible way, but even some of the finer details like the smoke effects on PC I think look a lot better, which is to be expected. And I honestly feel like for the Series X, this game does look really, really good, assuming it can maintain a good FPS number. So overall, as far as my reactions go, I think the game looks phenomenal. Seeing raw gameplay like this is exactly what I love to see from games. Looks like there's so much to do, the world is just as dense as they described, and the graphics, even on consoles, are really top tier. This is clearly pushing last gen to its limits. My only real concern is for those current or last gen users, how bad are those frame drops? How often is that going to occur? Is it going to be a real issue in combat? Are there going to be major scenes where you're kind of in a tense moment in combat and all of a sudden you get this pretty often? Maybe for some of you it's fine, but I could definitely see that being pretty frustrating. But it looks like the Series X might just be a simple solution to that, and at the very least you do get a free next gen upgrade. With that said, in the coming days I'm going to try and have a full breakdown on all of this gameplay. There's actually even some other news on the game to talk about, but with that said, here's a full look at the new console gameplay.
Forget Evelyn. Admit it. This is about Judy's virtues, isn't it? Good shit, if I say so myself.
Nobody can hold a candle to Judy. Cuts virtues like they were diamonds.
Damn straight.
Kako Okada, the Lady of Westbrook Estate.
When you find a moment, come see me. We must settle our accounts for Sandra Dorset. You did quite well. You and that friend of yours. Until then.
Don't even want to find you. Way I see it, only thing waiting for you here is getting off or getting offed. Place your bets.
What have I missed this time? Enlighten me.
Braindance chick is hiding something. No coincidence we already saw 2 tiger claws. They must control the building.
You think Judy's lying? Why?
Little something called intuition, V. Ever heard of it?
Oh, so what you meant to say was you're full of shit. Got it.
So hold on. You take a blow-up doll, remodel the hole, and that's cheating. That's infidelity. No. Well, how's that any different?
What will you have? Anything, whatever stands to fuck me up the quickest.
You better keep this short and sweet. 2 brainwashed sex zombies in a single day is too much, even for me.
Hi. I think something might have gone wrong here. Not really sure, don't have your details? Sorry, no idea what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, I have that bike. I know it.
Hey, no clients allowed in here. Well, dear, close the door on the way out, would ya? As you can see, I'm very busy.
Alarm.
Years of practice. You can see it. Are we still going somewhere?
How about some?
You asshole! You dirt-eating no-good bastard son of a bitch! Stop right there!
Well, well, what do we got here? And you just the cutest thing. If you're looking for a release, I just might be your man.
Kindly get the fuck out of my way.
Yo, you hear what this bitch said to me? Best watch your tongue.
I'd say it again, but what for? Your little skull sponge can't possibly get its gray cells around it.
I'm more than a chop doc. See, I know what people truly want. To be flattered, praised, patted. To feel like they deserve it. Of course. I can't remember each and every one. Even if it's a specimen as exquisite as you.